Coming live from the Tivoli Met Radio studio here on Auraria campus, this is All Sports with Gerardo. Thank you for listening to All Sports through Met Radio on mymetmedia.com, live every Thursday from 3:30 to 5 p.m. This is your host Gerardo, and all I talk is sports. On the show today, I am going to talk about NFL football, Major League Baseball, NBA basketball, NHL hockey, college football, and college basketball. Before I start the show, I hope you all had a great week. To start off with Major League Baseball, the Astros fired General Manager Jeff Luhnow and manager A.J. Hinch. Former Astros General Manager Jeff Luhnow and manager A.J. Hinch have been suspended 1 year after an investigation found the Astros using technology to cheat and steal signs from opponents during the 2017 season and when the Astros beat the Dodgers in the 2017 World Series. The Astros have been fined $5 million and they lost their first and second round draft picks in 2020 and 2021. The Red Sox fired manager Alex Cora. So if we take a look at this situation, the Astros had a great season back in 2017. And they had one of the best seasons in franchise history with the amount of games that they won, getting into the postseason, advancing far into the postseason, and making it to the World Series. The Astros landed up going against the Dodgers in the 2017 World Series. It went all the way to Game 7, and the Astros were able to beat the Dodgers in the 2017 World Series. But just recently, have the Astros been getting investigated because of what they've been accused of going back to the 2017 season, especially in the postseason and in the World Series. The Astros were accused of stealing signs and watching film of what opponent players and opponent teams were doing to win the game. So the Astros were being accused of stealing signs from opponents and using them to their advantage to win baseball games, especially in the postseason and in the World Series. Now, if we take a look at the 2017 World Series, it went all the way to Game 7. And if you watched the World Series back in 2017, the Dodgers actually should have won this World Series. They had a great chance of winning the World Series, but they let it slide out of their hands towards the end of Game 6 and in Game 7. So the Astros did win the 2017 World Series. So fast forward now to the end of the 2019 season, this offseason, and now that we're in 2020, Major League Baseball was investigating the Astros, and they found that the Astros were stealing signs from opponent teams and players during the 2017 season, especially in the postseason and in the World Series. So Major League Baseball took action and they suspended Jeff Luhnow and A.J. Hinch from the Astros for an entire year. But after Major League Baseball did that, the Astros landed up firing Jeff Luhnow and A.J. Hinch. Now you're probably wondering, why did Alex Cora, the manager of the Red Sox, get fired in the last few days? Well, Alex Cora was a part of the Astros team back in 2017. He was one of the coaches under manager A.J. Hinch. So that's why Alex Cora got fired. Now we're going to have to wait and see what happens with Alex Cora and the Red Sox, because Alex Cora is supposed to face some type of suspension like Jeff Luhnow and A.J. Hinch. And it'll likely be 1 year, but it's very likely going to be 2 years because of what he was accused of and his role in what happened back in 2017. Also, Major League Baseball is going to investigate Alex Cora and the Red Sox because just after the Astros won the World Series in 2017, Alex Cora became the manager of the Red Sox that offseason. So in the 2018 season, Alex Cora was the manager of the Red Sox. And believe it or not, Alex Cora and the Red Sox made it into the postseason in 2018, and they actually won the World Series in 2018. So Alex Cora and the Red Sox are going to be investigated, and we're going to have to wait and see what type of suspension Alex Cora gets, and if there's going to be any action taken against the Red Sox. But it's very likely that Alex Cora and the Red Sox will face the same type of suspension or discipline that the Astros did. So we're going to have to wait and see what happens with the Astros and the Red Sox in the next few weeks. But the Astros will be looking for a new general manager and a manager to take over, and the Red Sox will be looking for a new manager to take over. Mookie Betts and the Red Sox have agreed to a one-year contract to avoid arbitration. Chris Bryant and the Cubs have agreed to a one-year contract to avoid arbitration. Francisco Lindor and the Indians have agreed to a one-year contract to avoid arbitration. Trevor Bauer and the Reds have agreed to a one-year contract to avoid arbitration. Marcus Semien and the Athletics have agreed to a one-year contract to avoid arbitration. James Paxton and the Yankees have agreed to a one-year contract to avoid arbitration. Cody Bellinger and the Dodgers have agreed to a one-year contract to avoid arbitration. Javier Baez and the Cubs have agreed to a one-year contract to avoid arbitration. Noah Syndergaard and the Mets have agreed to a one-year contract to avoid arbitration. Aaron Judge and the Yankees have agreed to a one-year contract to avoid arbitration. Trey Turner and the Nationals have agreed to a one-year contract to avoid arbitration. David Dahl and the Rockies have agreed to a one-year contract to avoid arbitration. Kyle Freeland and the Rockies have agreed to a one-year contract to avoid arbitration. John Gray and the Rockies have agreed to a one-year contract to avoid arbitration. Carlos Estevez and the Rockies have agreed to a one-year contract to avoid arbitration. Josh Donaldson and the Twins have agreed to a 4-year contract. Todd Frazier and the Rangers have agreed to a one-year contract. Alex Wood and the Dodgers have agreed to a one-year contract. Miguel Sano and the Twins have agreed to a 3-year contract extension. Right now I'm going to take a commercial break. When I come back, I will talk about the NFL. Welcome back to All Sports with Gerardo. Moving on now to NFL football. The NFL Hall of Fame class of 2020 Centennial inductees includes Jim Cover, Winston Hill, Harold Carmichael, Duke Snyder, Ed Sprinkle, Steve Sable, Alex Corres, Bobby Dillon, Donnie Snell, George Young, Cliff Harris, Mike Speedy, Paul Tenebue, Bill Cowher, and Jimmy Johnson. So if we take a look at the NFL Hall of Fame class of 2020 Centennial inductees, most of them are from the Cowboys and the Steelers. And a lot of these names, they deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. And now that the NFL changed the Hall of Fame format, more players can get inducted into the NFL Hall of Fame. In 2020, we will definitely see more players get inducted into the NFL Hall of Fame and be the class of 2020. So if we take a look, there was definitely a lot of names that were eligible to be a part of the 2020 Centennial inductee class for the NFL Hall of Fame. But unfortunately, not everybody could get in. And one of those names was Randy Gradishar from the Broncos. With the type of numbers and career that Randy Gradishar had for the Broncos, he barely missed the cut to be inducted into the NFL Hall of Fame in 2020. But with the type of career and numbers that Randy Gradishar has, there's no doubt I could see Randy Gradishar make it into the NFL Hall of Fame next year or going into the future. But he was very close to getting inducted into the NFL Hall of Fame this year. And we're going to have to wait and see if he does get inducted into the NFL Hall of Fame next year or going into the future. But when Randy Gradishar was interviewed, he was definitely disappointed that he wasn't inducted into the NFL Hall of Fame this year. And he even stated that he should be in the NFL Hall of Fame. He's been waiting a long time, and hopefully his wait comes to an end next year or in the next few years. The NFL Hall of Fame class of 2020 modern era finalists includes Steve Atwater, Tony Bristow, Isaac Bruce, Leroy Butler, Alan Fuqua, Torrey Holt, Steve Hutchinson, Harrison James, John Lynch, Sam Mills, Troy Polamalu, Richard Snort, Zach Thomas, Bryant Young, and Reggie Wayne. So if we take a look at the NFL Hall of Fame, this year the NFL changed the format of the NFL Hall of Fame in the class of 2020. A lot more names are going to be eligible to get inducted into the NFL Hall of Fame this year and going into the future. There was the Centennial class. The Centennial inductees have already been announced. There's also the Modern Era finalists. And in the next few weeks, the Modern Era finalists will be announced of who gets inducted into the NFL Hall of Fame and who will be the class of 2020. We already know the Centennial inductees in the class of 2020, and we're going to have to wait and see who's the Modern Era inductees for the class of 2020. There's definitely some names for the class of 2020 for the Modern Era finalists that deserve to be inducted into the NFL Hall of Fame this year or going into the future. So we're going to have to wait and see who are the Modern Era inductees. But if we take a look at the Modern Era finalists, there's definitely a few names that stand out and some names that should be inducted into the NFL Hall of Fame this year and be the class of 2020. This includes Steve Atwater, John Lynch, Troy Polamalu, and Reggie Wayne. All four of these individual players definitely deserve to be in the NFL Hall of Fame, and they should definitely be a part of the class of 2020 for the Modern Era inductees. We're going to have to wait and see who gets inducted into the NFL Hall of Fame this year. But Steve Atwater definitely deserves to be in the NFL Hall of Fame. He's been waiting a long time. The type of career that he had for the Broncos, he definitely deserves to be in the NFL Hall of Fame this year. He's been waiting a long time. John Lynch definitely has a strong case. He should be inducted into the NFL Hall of Fame this year or sometime in the next few years. Troy Polamalu should definitely be a first ballot Hall of Famer. He should be inducted into the NFL Hall of Fame this year with the type of career that he had for the Steelers. And also, Reggie Wayne should be inducted into the NFL Hall of Fame with the type of career that he had with the Colts. So we're going to have to wait and see who are the Modern Era inductees and who will be the class of 2020 that will be inducted into the NFL Hall of Fame. Kevin Siskowski will become the Browns' next head coach. The Broncos fired offensive coordinator Rich Scalamano. The Broncos hired Pat Schumer to be their next offensive coordinator. Noah Fant and Dalton Risner were named to the PFWA All-Rookie team. After playing 8 seasons in the NFL, Luke Kuechly announced he is retiring from the NFL. After playing 16 seasons in the NFL, Antonio Gates announced he's retiring from the NFL. Antonio Gates played all 16 seasons with the Chargers. He played in 236 games. He had 955 catches. he had 11,841 yards. He had 116 touchdowns. He is a tight end touchdown leader, and he is ranked number 7 in all-time receiving touchdowns. So we're going to have to wait and see. But with the type of career that Antonio Gates had in the NFL, there should be no reason why he should be inducted into the NFL Hall of Fame going into the future. And when he's eligible to get inducted into the NFL Hall of Fame, he should also be a first ballot Hall of Famer. But I can definitely see Antonio Gates being inducted into the NFL Hall of Fame going into the future. Larry Fitzgerald announced he's returning back to the NFL for his 17th season. Larry Fitzgerald and the Cardinals have agreed to a 1-year contract. Richard Sherman's 38 interceptions is the most in the NFL since 2011. DK Metcalf slipped to the last pick of the second round in the 2019 NFL Draft. He finished the regular season with 900 receiving yards and 7 touchdowns, and he also had 219 receiving yards in the playoffs, which is the third most by a rookie in a single postseason. Lamar Jackson is the first player in NFL history with 300-plus passing yards and 100-plus rushing yards in a postseason game. Derrick Henry is the first player in NFL history with 180-plus rushing yards in 3 straight games. Derrick Henry is the first player in NFL history with 175-plus rushing yards in consecutive postseason games. Derrick Henry has the most rushing yards through the wild card and divisional round in NFL history. The Titans are on all-time underdog playoff run. They started the season 2-4 with Marcus Mariota before Ryan Tannehill was named the starting quarterback over Marcus Mariota during the Titans-Broncos game. The 31-year-old former Dolphins quarterback completely changed his career around with the Titans, which is sparked by the elite Titans offense that includes Derrick Henry and A.J. Brown. The Titans finished the season 9-7, and they clinched a playoff spot in the final week of the regular season once Derrick Henry won the rushing title this season. The Titans are the 6th seed and the second wild card team in the AFC. The Titans beat the Patriots 20-13 up in New England on the road in the wild card weekend. The Titans took down the Ravens, the number 1 team in the AFC, up in Baltimore during the divisional weekend after the Titans beat the Ravens 28-12. Now the Titans punched their ticket to the AFC Championship game against the Chiefs in Kansas City, and only one game stands in the way for the Titans reaching Super Bowl 54 down in Miami. Patrick Mahomes is the first player in NFL history with 300 passing yards, 50 rushing yards, and 5 passing touchdowns in a playoff game. After being down 24-0 in the Chiefs-Texans game in the NFL divisional weekend, Patrick Mahomes led the Chiefs to a huge comeback win against the Texans after throwing 5 touchdowns from being down 24-0, and the Chiefs landed up beating the Texans 51-31. The 24-point comeback in the Chiefs-Texans game in the divisional weekend was the largest comeback in Chiefs history. The Patriots were down 25 against the Falcons in Super Bowl 51. The Chiefs were down 24 against the Texans in the divisional weekend. Both of these games were the 3rd and 4th largest comebacks in NFL postseason history, and both comebacks have happened in the last 3 years. This year will be the first time in 17 years that Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, or Ben Roethlisberger won't play in the AFC Championship game. This week is the NFL Championship weekend. So right now I'm going to update you with the NFL Divisional Weekend final scores. And I'm also going to tell you the NFL Championship weekend schedule. So if we take a look at the NFL Divisional Weekend, the 49ers beat the Vikings 27-10. The Titans beat the Ravens 28-12. The Chiefs beat the Texans 51-31. And the Packers beat the Seahawks 28-23. So if we take a look at the 49ers-Vikings game, there's no reason why the 49ers should have lost this game. They're the first seed in the NFC, and they got home field advantage throughout the playoffs. And somehow, the 49ers landed up playing the Vikings instead of the Saints after the Vikings upset the Saints down in New Orleans. But the 49ers were able to take care of business and beat the Vikings in this game. Now, if we take a look at the Titans-Ravens game, this was the biggest upset in the NFL postseason this year. The Titans are the 6th seed and the second wild card team in the AFC, and they were able to go to Baltimore and take down the best team in the AFC and in the NFL. The Titans landed up going up to Baltimore and beating the Ravens and eliminating the number 1 seed in the AFC up in Baltimore in the divisional weekend. So this was the biggest upset so far this season in the playoffs, with the Titans taking down the Ravens. Especially that the Ravens were the best team in the NFL this season, especially in the AFC with quarterback Lamar Jackson. But the Titans were able to take care of business up in Baltimore and beat the Ravens. So now that the Titans have made the playoffs, they took down the Patriots in Wild Card Weekend, and they took down the Ravens in the divisional weekend. The Titans are playing in the AFC Championship game against the Chiefs in Kansas City. And if the Titans made it this far to the AFC Championship game, whoever the Titans play, that opponent better take the Titans very seriously. The Titans are somehow winning games, and they're able to win games, and they're advancing far into the playoffs. And there's a reason why they are in the AFC Championship game, and it's mainly because of their offense. Their defense has been playing really great, but especially their offense with quarterback Ryan Tannehill, but especially running back Derrick Henry. With the numbers that Derrick Henry had throughout the regular season, but especially in the playoffs, with the amount of yards he's getting and the touchdowns that he's getting, no one's been able to stop Derrick Henry in the regular season, but especially in the postseason. Not the Patriots, not the Ravens, and we're going to have to wait and see if the Chiefs can. But the Titans did beat the Chiefs during the regular season, and it was in Tennessee. So we're going to have to wait and see if the Titans can beat the Chiefs in Kansas City in the AFC Championship game. But the Chiefs better take the Titans very seriously. Otherwise, the Titans will win the AFC Championship game in Kansas City and punch their ticket to Super Bowl 54. Now, if we take a look at the Chiefs-Texans game, for most of this game, the Texans were winning this game, and the Chiefs were down 24-0. But the Chiefs were able to come back in this game, especially with Patrick Mahomes and that Chiefs offense. And the Chiefs were able to upset the Texans and beat the Texans 51-31. Now, if we take a look at the Packers-Seahawks game, the Packers-Seahawks matchups are always one of the best matchups, especially in the playoffs, no matter if it's in Green Bay or in Seattle. And this time around, it definitely wasn't disappointing. The Packers were able to win this game. They played better football, but the Seahawks did try to come back late in the game, but it wasn't enough to beat the Packers. This week is the NFL Championship weekend. The Titans go against the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game. The Packers go against the 49ers in the NFC Championship game. So if we take a look at the AFC Championship game between the Titans and the Chiefs, the AFC Championship game will be in Kansas City. The Chiefs definitely have the advantage since they have home field advantage. And they've also had home field advantage throughout the playoffs. And all the Chiefs need to do is win this game, and they will be playing in the Super Bowl and have a chance at winning Super Bowl 54. After the Chiefs got upset by the Patriots in last year's AFC Championship game in Kansas City, this year, the Chiefs do not want to get upset by the Titans in this year's AFC Championship game in Kansas City. We're going to have to wait and see who wins this game. The Chiefs definitely have the advantage since it's in Kansas City. And if Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs show up, especially on offense, and they play great on offense, they score a lot of touchdowns and points, there will be no reason why the Chiefs will not be playing in Super Bowl 54. But what will be standing in the way of the Chiefs reaching Super Bowl 54 is the Titans. The Titans did beat the Chiefs in Tennessee during the regular season at the end of the game, and that was a close game. Now that it's the playoffs, it's definitely a different game and two different teams. But don't underestimate the Titans. There's a reason why they are in the AFC Championship game. And the Chiefs cannot stop that Titans offense, especially Derrick Henry, from running the football. The Chiefs will not beat the Titans in the AFC Championship game. And it'll be just like the other two games that the Titans won. The Titans beat the Patriots in the wild card weekend. The Titans beat the Ravens in the divisional weekend. All because of Derrick Henry. If Derrick Henry gets a lot of yards like he has in the wild card weekend and the divisional weekend, the Titans will beat the Chiefs, and the Chiefs will not have a chance at beating the Titans if Derrick Henry has a big game against the Chiefs. And we're going to have to wait and see if the Chiefs can stop Derrick Henry. They're definitely going to have a huge task, and they definitely want to stop Derrick Henry. Because if the Patriots were not able to stop him, and the Ravens were not able to stop him, who knows? The Chiefs may not be able to stop Derrick Henry. Now, if we take a look at the NFC Championship game between the Packers and the 49ers, the NFC Championship game will be in San Francisco. Going back to the regular season, the 49ers did go against the Packers in San Francisco during the regular season, and the 49ers did win that game and blow out the Packers. But now that it's the playoffs, it can be a different game. The 49ers definitely have home field advantage since they are the number one seed in the NFC. And all they got to do is win this game and they'll punch their ticket to Super Bowl 54. So we're going to have to wait and see who wins this game. Since the 49ers have home field advantage, since the NFC Championship game is in San Francisco, and they did beat the Packers during the regular season, the 49ers have a high chance at beating the Packers again in the playoffs, now in the NFC Championship game. This will definitely be a great game. We're going to have to wait and see if it's a close game, and we're also going to have to wait and see who wins this game. But the 49ers definitely have the advantage since they're in San Francisco, and they've had home field advantage throughout the playoffs. And now they will have home field advantage in the NFC Championship game. So that's the NFL Divisional Weekend final scores and the NFL Championship Weekend schedule for the NFL. Right now I'm going to take a commercial break. When I come back, I will talk about the NBA and NHL. Welcome back to All Sports with Gerardo. Moving on now to NBA basketball, LeBron James moved into 4th in all-time field goals made. LeBron James moved into 8th in all-time assists. James Harden became the 45th player in NBA history to have 20,000 career points. Luka Doncic became the youngest player in NBA history to record at least 20 points, 15 rebounds, and 15 assists in a game. Zion Williamson will make his Pelicans debut, his NBA debut, and his regular season debut on Wednesday, January 22nd against the Spurs. Michael Malone is the fourth head coach in Nuggets franchise history to have 200-plus wins. So right now I'm going to update you with the current schedule for the Nuggets. I'm going to tell you every team the Nuggets went up against this past week and the final scores of those games. And I'm also going to tell you who the Nuggets go up against in the next week. So to start off, the Nuggets went against the Cavaliers, and the Nuggets lost to the Cavaliers 111-103. The Nuggets went against the Clippers, and the Nuggets beat the Clippers 114-104. The Nuggets went against the Hornets, and the Nuggets beat the Hornets 100-86. This week, the Nuggets go against the Warriors, the Pacers, the Timberwolves, and the Rockets. So that's the current schedule for the Nuggets. That's the teams the Nuggets went up against this past week and the final scores of those games. And that's also who the Nuggets go up against in the next week. In the Week 13 NBA Power Rankings, the current top 10 NBA basketball teams are the Bucks, Lakers, Celtics, Heat, Clippers, Jazz, Rockets, Nuggets, Raptors, and Mavericks. Moving on now to NHL hockey. So right now I'm going to update you with the current schedule for the Avalanche. I'm going to tell you every team the Avalanche went up against this past week and the final scores of those games. And I'm also going to tell you who the Avalanche go up against in the next week. To start off, the Avalanche went against the Penguins, and the Avalanche lost a close game to the Penguins in overtime 4-3. The Avalanche went against the Stars, and the Avalanche lost another close game in overtime to the Stars 3-2. This week, the Avalanche go against the Sharks, the Blues, and the Red Wings. So that's the current schedule for the Avalanche. For the teams the Avalanche went up against this past week and the final scores of those games. And that's also who the Avalanche go up against in the next week. Right now I'm going to take a commercial break. When I come back, I will talk about college football and college basketball. Welcome back to All Sports with Gerardo. Moving on now to college football in the 2020 College Football Playoff National Championship game between number 1 LSU and number 3 Clemson. Number 1 LSU beat number 3 Clemson 42-25 on Monday, January 13th in New Orleans. LSU is the 2020 College Football Playoff National Champions after winning the 2020 College Football Playoff National Championship game. They had a perfect season and they snapped Clemson's 29-game winning streak. Joe Burrow was named the offensive MVP after having 493 passing yards, 58 rushing yards, and 6 total touchdowns. Patrick Queen was named the defensive MVP after having 8 tackles, a half a sack, and 2.5 tackles for a loss. LSU quarterback Joe Burrow had one of the greatest single seasons in college football history. Joe Burrow won the 2020 College Football Playoff National title. He won the 2019 Heisman Trophy. He is a college football record holder for the most passing touchdowns in a season. He's responsible for the most touchdowns in a season in college football history. He has the most passing yards in BCS and in the college football playoff title game. He is responsible for the most touchdowns in a season in a BCS and in the college football playoff title game. This is the second undefeated season in LSU history, and LSU snapped Clemson's 29-game winning streak. Joe Burrow finished this season with 60 passing touchdowns, which is ranked first. 65 touchdowns that he was responsible for which is ranked first, and 5,671 passing yards, which is ranked in the top third. Joe Burrow is now the all-time leader in passing touchdowns for a season with 59 passing touchdowns. So if we take a look at Joe Burrow, he was definitely one of the best quarterbacks in college football this season. And with the type of season that Joe Burrow had at LSU at the quarterback position, there's no doubt that Joe Burrow will be the first overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft. And he will likely be the first pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, which the Bengals hold. The Bengals are looking for a franchise quarterback for the future. And with the Bengals having the first overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, it's very likely that the Bengals will draft Joe Burrow with the first overall pick. But congrats to Joe Burrow on having such a great season for LSU and in college football this season. And we're going to have to wait and see who drafts Joe Burrow in the 2020 NFL Draft, where he gets drafted, what NFL team he will play for, and what type of career Joe Burrow will have in the NFL at the quarterback position going into the future. The 2020 College Football Playoff National Championship game was the first loss in Trevor Lawrence's college career at Clemson. The last time Trevor Lawrence lost a game was on November 17, 2017, back in high school. So if we take a look at the 2020 College Football National Championship game between number 1 LSU and number 3 Clemson, with Clemson winning the 2019 College Football Playoff National Championship game, they definitely wanted to win the 2020 College Football Playoff National Championship game and win back-to-back College Football National Championship games. But unfortunately, that did not happen for Clemson. Also, the winning streak that Clemson had, which was a 29-game winning streak, was snapped by LSU in the 2020 College Football National Championship game. Also, this was the first loss in Trevor Lawrence's college football career at Clemson. So taking a look at the 2020 College Football National Championship game, Clemson definitely wanted to win back-to-back College Football National Championship games, but unfortunately that did not happen. Even though Clemson did not win the 2020 College Football National Championship game, they still had a great 2019 college football season. And with Trevor Lawrence coming back as Clemson's quarterback for the 2020 college football season, there's no doubt that Clemson is already favored to win the 2021 College Football National Championship game. And Clemson's favored to have one of the best college football seasons in the 2020 college football season. So there's no doubt that Clemson will be a great college football team in 2020. If we take a look at LSU, winning the 2020 College Football Playoff National Championship game was the icing on the cake for LSU. LSU is ranked number 1 in college football, and they were also the best team in college football this season. There's a reason why they were ranked number 1, and they definitely played like the number 1 team in college football this season, which was led by quarterback Joe Burrow. The main reason as to why LSU had such a great season and they were undefeated and they won every game in the 2019 college football season was because of quarterback Joe Burrow, with the type of season that Joe Burrow had at the quarterback position for LSU. Also, Joe Burrow won the 2019 Heisman Trophy. Joe Burrow and the LSU Tigers are also the 2020 College Football Playoff National Champions. So congrats to number 1 LSU on having a great 2019 college football season. And congrats to number 1 LSU on winning the 2020 College Football National Championship game. Now we're going to have to wait and see what type of season LSU has in the 2020 college football season, since LSU will not have Joe Burrow at the quarterback position and they will have a different quarterback. But there's no reason why LSU shouldn't have a great college football season in 2020 after the type of season that they had in the 2019 college football season and winning the 2020 college football national championship game against Clemson. But if we take a look at the 2020 college football season, there's no doubt that LSU and Clemson will be great college football teams. They will definitely win a lot of games. They will be in the college football playoff top 25. Maybe even in the college football playoff top 4. And both LSU and Clemson are favored to win the 2021 college football playoff national championship game. And we're just going to have to wait and see what two teams play in the 2021 college football playoff national championship game and what team wins the 2021 college football playoff national championship game. But congrats to LSU on being the number 1 team in college football this season, being an undefeated team, winning all their games, being number 1, being the best team in the 2019 college football season. But also, I want to say congrats to LSU on winning the 2020 college football playoff national championship game. I also want to say congrats to LSU quarterback Joe Burrow on having a great season with LSU at the quarterback position. And good luck to Joe Burrow in the NFL. And we're going to have to wait and see what team Joe Burrow plays for in the NFL. But there's no doubt that Joe Burrow will be a franchise quarterback for whatever NFL team that he plays for. And we're going to have to wait and see what type of career Joe Burrow has in the NFL going into the future. But the main reason why LSU won the 2020 college football playoff national championship game was because of quarterback Joe Burrow. Grant Depot has declared for the 2020 NFL Draft. T. Higgins has declared for the 2020 NFL Draft. Moving on now to college basketball. In the college basketball AP Top 10 poll, the current top 10 college basketball teams are Gonzaga, Ohio State, Louisville, Duke, Kansas, Oregon, Baylor, Auburn, Memphis, and Villanova. Right now I'm going to take a commercial break. When I come back, I will talk about the end of the show. Welcome back to All Sports with Gerardo. Moving on now to the show. What to watch for this week in sports. The Titans versus the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game. The Packers versus the 49ers in the NFC Championship game. NFL Championship weekend. NFL playoffs. NFL football. College basketball. The Nuggets. NBA basketball. The Avalanche. NHL hockey. Moving on now, on the next show, I will talk about NFL football, Major League Baseball, NBA basketball, NHL hockey, college football, and college basketball. I hope you all have a great weekend. Tune in to the next All Sports with Gerardo show next Thursday. I want to say thank you to everybody that listens to All Sports through Met Radio here on mymetmedia.com. Subscribe or like my pages on social media at All Sports with Gerardo. Until next time, this is Gerardo.